Muy buenas noches, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. As always, thank you to all for everyone's words, wishes, prayers, as the love and support everyone shares with me. From the heart, gracias. Well, everyone, before getting right into it, allow me to apologize to everyone if I sound worse than usual, but I had chemo today, so I'll try my best. I hope I'm able to make sense of it, right? But this one's gonna circle around a camarada. Throughout my story, I skipped to two things that you know a lot of people could foresee as their minimum, but to myself, it's important because it's about two solid homies, right? And I mean solid in the sense that they were good out there in the system, completed their mission, and they were always solid out here where it counts, right? But anyways, today I want to talk about the homie Sticks or Angel from Southside Whittier. I met the homie right when we got here. Well, myself, right? Sorry, everyone. Them nauseous or the sickness, right? I apologize. But when I got to Culiacan, right, and basically I met the camarada, and well, we did what we do anywhere, right? As Sureños, we introduce ourselves, and out of respect, we kind of tell a little bit background on each other, right? Because out here is mostly palabra, right? If the pilis are pulling you, basically paperwork is it's a myth or it's not important, right? But the homie was good gente. He was real good gente. Right when I got here, we actually got recalled back to Ensenada, and it basically had to do with some individuals, right, that had done the Billy evil wrong. So we ended up pulling out there, right? And I'm so sorry. We camaradas from TJ and Rosarito, that area, pulled in too. And basically, it was just a pam pam, vámonos, right? Type of thing. And from there, we all split, per se. Some went different ways. And me and Angel or Sticks, we went back to the ranch in Culiacan to basically sit down and let the water settle. Here in Mexico, when things like that happen, it's basically 1 2 days you'll find out if everything's cool. That's it. It ain't like you would you would do in the states. But anyways, again, the homie and myself were at the ranch, and then we got that cuernazo right from Daryl. And we got told by the old man to report to Jalisco that basically the Pili Mono, you guys seen the famous Mono, right? Was had got it burnt with some jale. So we would end up going to Tala exactly, right? In Tala there was a homie that was running the whole town for Jalisco, right? And we got there, we were told what was happening, and you know who they were. So we started doing what we had to do, right? Which is go out patrullando and seeing if we could catch up with who we needed to, you know. But anyways, because of the camarada, that's why Billy's and homies were able to work out there, right? It's a whole different avenue that was trying to be uh taken, you could say, but or so we could tap into, right, or at least the Beelies towards Califas, right? And anyways, we started doing the footwork. We had done it for a few days, and I remember one day we're going on the back roads, right? We're actually going from this little town, Tala, and we're headed back to Omega, and we actually got pulled, right? And it was a truck of Jalisco's. They basically closed us up, and we were appeased, right? So we never thought anything of it, and the minute that we got down, tried to charolear, or basically tell them who we were, we started getting stomped in, right? Right away, they put that bolsa over you and vámonos, which, my thought at the moment was, we're going to get stomped in, a ver de qué, but in a couple of days it'll be resolved, right? Because again, we were invited there. Everything should be firmes. Now, it wasn't the first time stakes either had been picked up, so it was basically buck up and wait to get out of it, right? Type of thing. So, anyways, they take you back to wherever their spot is, and for those that have been in those positions, you know, every time they hold you, it's like there's no way you could even defend yourself because they put your hands tied to your back, your feet to your hands, and then they wrap your whole head. I'm talking about your whole head. They'll wrap it up so you don't know where it's coming from, right? And they were accusing us of the Hale that got lost. You see, at least Mono lied to Daryl, or we got lied to, in the sense that the Hale belonged to Mono. The Hale belonged to them, and Mono had lost it. You guys see? So they wanted their feria, they wanted the Hale. Now, in these moments, I was nobody. But if we would have gotten told before we went out there, before we got picked up, I could have asked for it fronted, and it should have not escalated to where it went. It was at, right? But anyways, being there tied up, it wasn't the moment to say, hey, we got told this or nada. Just shut up and buck up, right? Lo que venga, venga. Until that day is part of, right? So, anyways, we were there for like, I would say 4 days, right? But again, we don't see nothing. We're on our knees, and we're getting stomped them every day. So it could have been a day short, a day after. I don't know. But after that, I don't know if they got a phone call or what, right? But it was me, Sticks, and a homie Chicali, right? And they basically told us why we arrived at Tala. And again, we said we were just there to visit, and we are trying to help. And you guys know what came after help, because we were being accused actually of sitting on the Hale. And anyway, since we didn't say nothing, I don't know who spoke or what. I'm assuming the homie, right, that was in charge of Omeka, that called in or something, or one of the Billys. I don't know. The point is that the homie, right? Before I continue, I want to put a backstory on the homie. I done things with the homie, and he was solid. I remember one time we went into Michoacan, and in Michoacan we didn't have nobody. It was basically, we tried it, right? We went out there to see if we could tap into something, and it was open war at every moment, everywhere, right? Because of where we landed. Tierra Caliente. And basically, we had we got picked up out there, but it was from the Hudas. So I knew the homie kept, quiet. So them things you do with somebody, you earn trust beyond that campolero trip, right? That we are as a person, we earn trust amongst each other, right? And also, I got the scars on my, you could say, face and head, right, from a time that we're sitting down and we're drinking a Cuba. We're waiting on an individual, and like I mentioned before, Pisces don't like us, right, at all. And I guess as we sitting there, there's a couple tables wolfing. And me personally, I always been the individual that I don't pay mind to cockpits from far away. They could wolf. And he told me, the homie, right, Angel or Stick, excuse me. And I exactly what I told him, hey, let him wolf from far away. If they come close, then we'll boogie. We'll get down to what we need to get. And I was an idiot that night, right? Because after a while, they kept going, and I'm the one that got up and rushed in, right? And we we ain't get the best, But that ain't about when you fight someone. It ain't about that, right? And it ain't about winning. It's about holding your ground. We got ours, We got ours, but again, it was in a club, so we couldn't. A little bar, excuse me. So we couldn't even pull out and start, So it was just all buckled up. But somehow they had rocks, and that's how the scars came on. Oh, right. Anyways, this is just to put a little backstory to the homie, right? And just to show that we did quite a few things, and he was as solid as it come. Plus, he's done his share for his neighborhood, his time in the state, and again, he completed his mission and was still completing his mission, right, in Mexico. But going back to Tala, right, when we were there, it was, you know, last time I told this story on that other channel, I kind of went in too much, right? So try to keep it respectful for the homie, right? After a while, they came, they grabbed the homie, they took him in a little back room, and how could I say it? It was one of them things that it not only pumps fear in you, because it's one thing bucking up and handling things to another thing saying, oh, ain't no fear ever pumps in. Now, hell yeah, you know, you're there tied up, handcuffed, getting stomped, and then they take the homie next, and they start stomping him in, and after a while, they start literally alive taking an axe to him. You guys know how that sounds. Hearing the axe actually crack through and hearing the noise someone makes when gets hit up until the point that the homie stopped making noise, right? And the only thought that goes to our head is, se acabó la rola. This is where it ends, and we're next, right? Because again, nobody said nothing. We weren't going to throw the beanie down the pipe. We don't know what they were talking about. Handle their business, right? And that was the worst case, pride. Because at the beginning, I nearly said it, right? When they were taking their, I don't know what it was again. But their long rifles, and they were binking, right? And I was telling them, handle your business. I don't know what you're talking about. Because facts are, if you speak, you're gonna get clipped by them. If you don't get speak, you're gonna get clipped. So you might as well just buck up and take what's coming, right? But anyways, it was one of the times that and not only stuck with me in more ways than just memory, it actually hurt, right? Cause again, by this time I done things that you know with the camarada that they go beyond. That's why I laugh when people come on and say active. Man, do you really know what that word means? Or where have you done it? In your own neighborhood? In jail? Tell me when you go to a different country, everybody hates you, but everybody you go, you have to buck up and they tell you, que eres? Campolero. Ah, see, this and this is going to happen to you before we don't you. And all you have to do, you have to say is, I'm Campol Boogie. Vámonos. Do what you're going to do. You know, active on the internet. If, anyways, when after they did that with the homie, they came back and they started uncuffing all of us. I didn't see the where they did the homie again. It was in a room right behind, and basically they told us it was clear who had taken it and was stringing you guys along. I don't know what story they told them. I'll be honest, but someone's gonna regain that for the loss, and the guy that did it got taken care of. Where I know for a fact it was a lie. We were just in Ensenada in the rancho. You know, Stakes was nowhere around Jalisco. But anyways, I knew right away it was Mono, right? His doings of either losing it or sitting on it. It was just how that individual was. You know, I don't know how he made it to a Pili because a lot of people know the history of Chango from Onterio, right? He come over and he changed his name and then he got made. Anyways, regardless, that's always the case with camaradas, right? They see the rope around their neck and they'll throw a camarada down the pipe. Now, keep in mind, as we're all there, though, in reality, God is great because you could say we walk from that, right? And I'm sorry I say it like that because of the homie, but it could have been any of us. It could have been all of us, period. Because they weren't going to keep stomping us in. Eventually, we're going to get dealt with, period. If that wouldn't have came out, and I think it had to do with the homie, right? That had Tala, Omega, excuse me. So, anyways, we would get let go. Basically, it took us on the, you could say, freeway, and they threw us, and we would eventually get back to, we hit Jalisco. Jalisco, no. Tequila, excuse me. Jalisco. Tequila, Jalisco. And we met people there, and basically, we sat for a day or two. Then we went to, what's this town? It's right in between Tala and Tequila. Um, Andares or something like that, right? Anyways, and then from there, we got assigned to go to different ways. By the way, there was five of us. But again, I'm speaking about the homie, right? Here's the thing, though. The thing that really locked into me, right? How, like I say, government works hand in hand, right? And when we were leaving, a truck of them cats basically pulled over, right? Another truck comes in. You guys know they're all covering their face and everything. So you know who's who, right? Until this day, I don't know who it was. But as they're asking questions, who we are, where we're going, things like that, right? What are we doing? We're all bruised up, you could say. Uh, we're just saying we're visiting. We actually went on motorcycle rides and we ate dirt, them type of things. And one of them came and told me basically, "What's up, Robert?" And I was like, "Whatever, right?" I stood quiet, and then he goes, "¿Qué pasó con tu amiguito Ángel? ¿Dónde está? Where's your homie at?" Laughing. And it's when I said, "Man, the things that we get put in between and to take." Because when I got back to Culiacan, I wanted to tell Daryl, I wanted to press the issue. And when I sat with Daryl and tried to tell him what it was, right? Basically, I got told, like, "Hey, homie, no lo hagas. Whatever happened, happened. Monos a carnal." Basically, put up and shut up, or else, you know, you're done. Because I wanted at least to some type of reaction from what happened towards whoever, but some type of reaction for the camarada, right? But again, nah. He says, "I know, pero we're on a different thing out here." Is when Evil got busted for that 187, right? There was a lot going on, so I was that stupid individual, right? That I basically just shut up, put up, and kept pushing. But it's just the type of thing, that happens here in Cali, everywhere. We're meant to protect the Pilis, understood. Let's say you have a celly that's a Pili, you're meant to take the rap. Any jale you do with the Pili, you're meant to take the rap as a sureño. Okay? But what people sometimes have never goes through is a few days of torture for a Pili, you know, or stay quiet when you know the Pili stealing from somebody and you're feeling the effects. But anyways, I just wanted to touch on the homie, may him rest in peace. And I didn't want to leave him on my story. The next time I touch on my story, will be the last of my story if God allows it. With this said, stay true to yourself, loyal to loved ones.